Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Aisyah binti Razali and I'm from Tesla 1. Today I will be doing a critical reflection on the language assessment based on the test that I have conducted recently. Without further ado, let's get started. For the content, first I will start with the introduction, followed by the test. Subsequently, I will do some analysis on the test, and I will also cover the reflections on grading as well as the issues arises from the test. Finally, I will do some suggestion to improve the language assessment as well as the conclusion. For introduction, summative assessment usually occurs at the end of a unit, term, or semester, and may be used to rank or grade students. Summative assessment is a type of assessment of learning. So the effectiveness of assessment of learning for grading or ranking purposes depends on the validity, reliability, and weighting placed on one task. The aims of summative assessment is to evaluate students' learning at the end of an instructional unit by comparing it against some standard or benchmark. This is the test that I have administered for my students, Year 2 UKM. It consists of 4 sections. The first one is Section A, focusing on the reading skill. There are 10 multiple choice questions that I have prepared in this section. For section B, focus on the writing skill with 8 short answer questions. For section C, focusing on the listening skill, I have prepared 2 parts of questions. And finally, for section D, I've prepared 1 question to assess their speaking skill. From the test, I have done some analysis after grading all the students' paper. I found out that 20 students got A, ranging from 80 to 100 marks. 3 students got B, ranging from 60 to 79 marks. 2 students got C, ranging from 50 to 59 marks. And 2 students got D, ranging from 40 to 49 marks. And finally, there are 3 students who got a failing score, which ranges from 0 to 39. From the result, I can say that my classroom is comprises of mixed proficiency students. The students consist of 3 levels. The first one is advanced students, intermediate students, and also lower level students. For advanced students, students who got an A, that is 66.7%. Intermediate students who got B, that is 10%, and the lower level students, that is students who got C, D, and E, there are 6.7%, 6.7%, and 10% respectively. Here are the pie chart of the students' score. Okay, from the test, I found out that most students can answer the reading section, which consists of 10 multiple choice questions. However, several students still need more practice on the knowledge of sound, that is, question 1 to question 3. A few students are unable to differentiate the G sound with the J sound in question number 2. And only a few students know about the rules of the silent H. Therefore, the teacher should give more practice to students on the phonic topic. Next, question 4. It tests student knowledge on cross-curricular elements, science, as well as their knowledge of animal vocabulary. Fortunately, almost all students have no trouble with this question. On the other hand, question 5 and question 6, it tests students' knowledge of verbs, especially from Unit 9, which is the last topic in their Supermind textbook. Lower level students are reported to have trouble in answering these 2 questions. Hence, teacher needs to include more activities for them to recognize the vocabulary that they need to master in year 2. Teacher could use flashcards to practice the vocabulary with the students. Apart from that, teacher should also implicitly teach the students about singular and plural, since there are still a few students who are confused about the usage of is and are in question 7. Almost all students can answer question 8 and 9 from Unit 6 on the topic of the old house, focusing on habitats, whereas only a few students can answer question 10 that is focusing on the adjective. This question tests student knowledge of materials and their knowledge of adjective from Unit 7, Get Rest. Teachers should revisit this topic by giving emphasis on selecting suitable adjective for nouns. However, teachers should bear in mind that teaching grammar should be done implicitly to Year 2 students. Based on section B that focuses on writing skill, teacher found out that the intermediate and the lower level students have lack of vocabularies about their daily activities. For instance, in question 11 to question 12, the students have the idea about what the pictures are about, but fail to describe it using the correct sentences. Some of the students remember of the phrases, but they are unable to spell them correctly. Therefore, the teacher should give more spelling practice to lower level students to help them memorize certain phrases. Question 13 tests the student's ability to write using the given words with correct punctuations. In terms of punctuation, almost all advanced students have no issues except for some careless mistake. However, for intermediate and lower level group, the students are unable to arrange the words given into a meaningful sentence, which demonstrates their inability to understand the words given and to construct sentences. To improve the students' writing, teachers need to provide more writing tasks that are suitable to intermediate and lower level group. Feedbacks and supports are especially important to help the student improve their writings. Similarly, advanced students have no trouble in question 14. However, intermediate and lower level group need more exposure to conjunctions and how to use them correctly. More practices and examples should be provided to them to familiarize themselves with the use of the conjunction and but. For section C, it assesses students' listening skill, that is, to listen with support the main idea of simple sentences and to listen to specific information and details of simple sentences. For instance, question 15 tests students' knowledge on countries' names and the weather. Students are able to write the name of the country on the map below using the icons as the guidance. However, many students have trouble spelling the country's name correctly. Therefore, for this question, teachers should have included the answer choices for this question because this section tests the listening skill and not their writing skill. Whereas for question 16, students are required to write the given names in the boxes. This question assesses students' vocabulary of the activities at the beach. Advanced students have no trouble listening to the specific information and filling in the blank with the correct answer. On the other hand, weaker and intermediate students couldn't capture the specific information based on the audio recording. Hence, teachers should include more listening practice to the students to increase their ability to understand specific and main information from recordings. Finally, for the speaking task, students are required to talk about four pictures in the correct order and guess what will happen in the fourth picture. This question requires them to utilize the vocabularies that they have learned in Unit 9 at the beach. They are assessed based on the content, accuracy, fluency, vocabulary, as well as voice and intonation. From the test, the advanced students mainly scored good and excellent, while the intermediate and lower level students scored poor and moderate. In order to reduce the gap between the lower level and advanced students, teachers should use action-based approach and group the lower level students together to enhance their communication skill while performing a task. Through this approach, students will interact with each other and improve their speaking skill. Now, let's reflect on the grading, feedback, reporting, and issues that arise during the implementation of the classroom assessment. For in grading section A, this section is straightforward because it is multiple choice question types. So these instructions are clear and easy to understand, and students are required to circle one correct answer. However, there are a few issues that I have faces. First, some student does not circle the answer but fill in the blanks. In this case, the students are graded based on the answer they wrote. But the second issue is some students circle the answers, however they write different answer in a blank space. In this case, the circle answer is prioritized even though the answer that they write in the blank space is correct. This is the answer scheme for section A. As you can see, the answer scheme, the answer is fixed, so the grading is very straightforward. For section B, grading is based on the design rubrics. Specific rubric is the grading process. The instructions are clear and specific, and students are required to write the answers in the space given. There are two issues that I've encountered while grading the answer. For question 14, some students just write the conjunction in the blank space. Therefore, I only award them with 1 mark. However, I found out that I sometimes lack consistency when awarding marks for questions without analytic rubrics. Okay, let's take a look at the answer scheme. Okay, for question 11, I didn't prepare the analytic rubric, which is I have specified the answer that is play badminton and read a book. I also accept suitable responses. For instance, play tennis or read books. For question 12, I have specified analytic rubric. Therefore, the grading are very easy and I can allocate marks based on the rubric that I have created. For question 14, I have specified two answers. That is, I like these jeans, but I don't like this cap. And for B, I like this skirt and this hat. So there are cases where the students just write but and in the given spaces. So I just award them with 1 mark. But sometimes I lack of consistency, especially in giving the marks for question 11 and also question 14. For in grading section C, grading is straightforward because the answers are fixed. Instructions are very clear and easy to understand. Students are required to fill in the blank based on the audio. But there are also two issues. That is for question 15, some students spelled the country's name incorrectly. In this case, teacher awards mark for slight spelling mistake. For example, they they spelled Scotland without D or without T. So I still give them marks because this section tests their listening skill and not their writing skill. However, for certain words that are very far from that look very wrong from the right country names, I found that I lack consistency in awarding marks for students who spelled the country's name wrongly. Okay, these are the answer scheme for listening section. Okay, so there are several students who spelled Scotland or Italy or Japan wrongly, but I will still give marks as long as the countries I understand what countries they are trying to write. And for the second question, for the question number 16, I am very strict for this because the answers choice are given. Okay. In grading section D, I found out that grading is difficult because the responses are open-ended. The instructions are clear but not specified. The students are required to talk about the pictures, but there is no specifications on how many responses are needed. Therefore, teacher lacks consistency in awarding marks for students. Let's take a look at the analytic rubric. Okay, the scale are divided into four: poor, moderate, good, and excellent. The criteria is also divided into four, which is I look at the content, the accuracy, the fluency, and vocabulary, and also the voice and intonation. However, sometimes I think I was biased in grading the students that is more confidence compared to students who are timid. Okay, therefore, in order to increase the language assessment, in order to increase the validity and reliability, I think I should have used a panel of experts to check my question before I administer it. So using a panel of experts familiar with the construct is a way in which this type of validity can be assessed. And for iterated reliability, I should have used two or more rather to improve iterated reliability. This would remove inconsistency in grading and as well as the bias in grading. Okay, for the conclusion, based on the student score, it can be concluded that the students have different performance level. Therefore, the teachers need to include differentiation strategies in the teaching and learning. The teachers need to give more support and feedback and tasks that can be accomplished to the lower level group. By using differentiation strategies, the gap and disparities between the lower level group and the higher level group can be reduced. In addition, the teacher should also use gamification in learning. It is proven to increase students' motivation and it helps students assimilate new information and test students' knowledge. Next, To make learning meaningful, teachers are recommended to review the question with the class to examine the question that they still struggle to answer. Using the information obtained, teachers can give more emphasis on specific topics. In conclusion, student assessment should not be limited to formal testing, but teachers need to use all kinds of resources, especially ones that can attract and motivate students in learning. That's all from me. Thank you.